What up, and welcome to the Roundtable. I am your host, Brad Wakai, alongside my co-host, Tyson Gentry. What's going on today, brother?
Oh, new location. We got the house sitting, so I'm in a nicer chair. The lighting's better. It's always just it's nice when it's a mini vacation.
Mini vacation for a house sit. And you want to know how committed Tyson is? He brought his equipment over to this house he's sitting at just so he can speak a little bit of knowledge to you all out there. That's commitment.
Well, yeah. Plus, I mean, the Suns beat the Warriors yesterday, tied the 60-second win, tied franchise record. So I wasn't letting more than 24 hours go by before I pop some shit off about that.
I have a feeling they're going to set the franchise record this season. I'm going out on a little bit of a limb there, but I think they're going to win another one.
Yeah, they got 6 left, and they're a team full of fucking sickos. I think they want to win out. To be honest with you, I don't. I mean, we'll talk about that in the NBA part of it, maybe, but they're making me nervous, man. All these Book can't play 40 minutes. You're up 10 games on second place.
Yeah, we'll certainly get to that as Tyson alluded. We got a big show today. We're talking Final Four. I mean, we've been carrying the water for March Madness here on the show. We got to break down Final Four, so we're going to give you a preview. We have some best bets for the Final Four as well. Both Tyson and mine, our future picks are still in it. I had Duke, he had Kansas. Actually, hold a ticket for both of them. So if both of them win, I'm sitting nice. And then we're going to go through a big NBA betting guide, MVP discussion, Defensive Player of the Year discussion. Those are really the only two awards that are really open and have a market right now. Although you could say MVP's trending away from that. And then, of course, we're going to start going through conference prices, East, West, and then we're going to give you an overview of the finals as from a gambling angle, what we really think as we get closer to the playoffs. But first, we're going to start out with a little bit of NFL news. Tyson, it's the league that never sleeps. It used to be hot stove baseball. It's really just like a microwave football because this thing just never stops going, man. It's always turning. Huge news out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, they got Tom Brady back. All right, let's run it back. And then Bruce Arians decides to step down from head coaching, moves up to the front office, and now Todd Bowles will be taking over as the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the foreseeable future as he signs a 5-year extension.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I don't think this changes anything like in the present, right? I'm really struggling to wrap my head around why it's Todd Bowles and not Byron Leftwich. I understand Bowles has the experience, and it's as much as Brad and I talk about that being an overrated aspect of NFL head coaching candidacies and things like that, it matters to front offices clearly because they basically just said we're fine losing Leftwich because that's what it's going to be. We thought he was going to get a job this year, didn't happen. Tom Brady's going to come back, throw for 5,000 yards again. The offense is going to look great again, and somebody's going to go, all right, we'll take a shot on this guy. And yeah, he didn't get the Jags job, but he didn't get it because a guy who won a Super Bowl 5 years ago got the job. It wasn't exactly an even playing field there. I just good for Bruce Arians. It's a internal promotion, I suppose. I don't think it changes hardly anything for the season. Besides, press conferences are going to be a little bit more boring.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of this season, it's not going to change a thing. Betting odds haven't changed. Future prices haven't changed for the Bucs with good reason. I mean, Bowles was already running the defense. Arians was handling the offense. I put that in quotes because it was really Leftwich just running the show and Brady running it with Leftwich. Because Arians, if you want to listen to the Bucs, this has been in the works for a while. Arians was thinking about stepping away. He was kind of getting to that point. And so he, over the course of time, has been putting more and more responsibility onto the plate of his assistants. So Bowles completely runs the defense. And Leftwich really kind of ran the offense last year in conjunction with Brady, and Arians is kind of that CEO. Let's just oversee some things, and I'll step in when I need to. So him replacing, it's just going to be a different voice as Todd Bowles, who stands up in front of the room and who's on the headset. That's really it. But offensive side of the ball, that's not going to be affected. They already have their systems and places and practice with Brady and Leftwich, and Bowles will still run the defense. I think it'll be seamless. What I'm curious to know your opinion on Tyson is everybody's got this conspiracy theory right now that Brady only came back if Arians was fired. And I want to know where you stand on that.
How would that even possibly be true if the guy, we don't know what his role is, but he's not losing power in this situation. There's no world that I can see where Bruce Arians goes this deep into it, because like the draft is end of the month. Most of the hard work of the offseason's over. So he's not going to cede the power that he holds or whatever. And you don't think Tom Brady knew these discussions were taking place? You think he retired and then was like, "Well, I'm only coming back if Bruce decides that he wants to be general manager or like as head of football operations"? That makes no sense.
I completely agree with you. I think it's just something like people are like so obsessed with like conspiracy theories right now. It's like I don't know who needs to hear this, but not everything is a conspiracy theory. Like, yeah,
Almost
maybe Will
nothing.
Smith is just crazy and decided to slap Chris Rock. Like, it's not some outlandish like, oh, they planned it, and like you're an idiot if you think he didn't. It's like, or the dude's a wacko and decided to go up and slap Chris Rock in the face on national TV. And Bruce Arians, who's had health issues and has been contemplating retiring, he
He's
decided to
like
step away, and
70.
his boys with Jason Light, the president of the football operations, like, yeah, we can find a spot for you up here. Like, these things happen in real life. Not everything's some grand conspiracy theory. Like, it's just so frustrating. This past couple, 48 hours, having people just spew their theories on this stuff.
And uh, we'll talk about the Bucks maybe repeating, but Brad, the defending Super Bowl champions, got another All Pro today.
Dude, holy smokes. I mean, talk about a loaded roster.
Where did they get $60 million to sign Bobby Wagner?
I think they had a fund or a GoFundMe page.
Do you think so?
I think that's what it was. Like, just set up a GoFundMe page. Hey, we want linebacker. Donate.
That's the Bills needed to set one up to get a new stadium after they took Von Miller took them to the cleaners. But to me, this is perfect because Bobby Wagner, this is like we know this is a first ballot Hall of Fame football player. Plenty of gas left in the tank, in my opinion. He might be a step. He's not the best middle linebacker in football anymore. Okay, I think that much is clear. You can say Roquan Smith if you want. You can say Fred Warner if you want, but it's really not Bobby Wagner. But he's still probably top 5.
Yeah, he's
Like, he's
so
still
good.
probably comfortably top 5. And you just added him to a spot where, by the way, middle of the field's been kind of a weakness for the Rams for the last couple of years. We've been talking ourselves into Alec Ogletree, guys like that. Now it's like, okay, real solidified Hall of Famer to stand behind a real solidified Hall of Famer and Aaron Donald,
Yeah.
and then a future Hall of Famer and Jalen Ramsey out on the edge. And they're doing the NBA buyout thing where a 7th rounder is going to get them some disgruntled, I don't know. They might end up with the safety for all we know. Like Minka could throw another fit. Like, this is just where we're at with the Rams. It's just like, okay, they're going to get everybody.
And you said it perfectly, man. I mean, look at the depth and the star power they have at each position. They just upgraded, obviously, from Goff to Stafford. Well, Stafford, first year there, Hall of Fame quarterback, wins him a Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp, monster, Super Bowl MVP. Whitworth retires, but he was a great left tackle. So they're going to have to figure out the O-line a little bit. You go to the defensive side of the ball. I mean, literally every position has a Hall of Famer there. Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, and then Jalen Ramsey. I mean, it is crazy how much talent is on that roster. And like you said, I think you said it exceptionally well. If there was going to be a hole in the defense, I think this year, if you look at it on paper, it was that linebacking core. Oh, let's just go plug Bobby Wagner in there just because why not?
And it's for him, right? I mean, he's pissed off that he gets let go from the Seahawks. He's upset. So it's like, what is the best way to get back at these guys? Play them twice a year. And then you can do that while also having a really good shot at winning a Super Bowl. This is like, and you get $60 million guaranteed. This is like a home run hit for Bobby Wagner. But I do want to say, as far as Seattle goes, I know that we kind of been giving them some passes here because it's been tough. They lost Russell Wilson and everything. This is like the 5th guy to leave Seattle that was Mr. Seattle Seahawk that hates the organization, that has nothing good to say on his way out. What is going on?
I have no clue. Is it like a John Snyder thing? Like,
It's got to be somebody, right?
It's got to be somebody. Is it Pete? Like, does he put on that facade? Like, oh yeah, Pete, like super bro. He's like pretty cool. Or is he just like behind the scenes, like an asshole? Or he just rubs you the wrong way? Or maybe he's just been around them for too long. You're like, this guy just wears me out and like, get me away from this. But maybe for a coach, but like, you're right. Like, they have like, and of course, Russell Wilson basically just kind of giving the cold shoulder to the organization. That's about him saying the F word in reality. I mean, but Earl Thomas
Right.
flipping him off, Richard Sherman not want anything to do with them. Bobby Wagner, pretty cold on the exit as well. It's got to be a Snyder thing. I wouldn't imagine it would be just Pete Carroll if they're having these feelings. I mean, they did win with them after all.
Yeah, that was a long time ago in the
It's
NFL,
true.
though.
Yeah.
It's weird. I have no opinion on it. I think if you're Seattle and you're singing your GM's praises, maybe time to look in the mirror a bit.
Yeah, that's especially if it goes as bad as we think it's going to go this year. It might be time for an overhaul there.
Oh, they're gonna suck, dude.
They're going to be really bad. But you don't think Drew Lock's going to do a good job there?
That's my guy.
All right, that's enough NFL. That's enough football. We got it all coming up, man. I mean, they try to jump the line in this stuff, man. It's we're addicted. I understand, but geez, let's put the hardcore on.
The draft is like a month away. We're gonna be draft coverage here.
We're gonna be right back into it. Yeah. All right, let's talk Final Four, Tyson. We know the storylines. We know the storyline, Duke, Carolina. But this other sneaky one is you got blue blood Kansas back looking good. Like you called it too. This is a championship medal Kansas team. They fit that mold of what previous Kansas championship teams have looked like against a Villanova new blood type of team who is talk about a mold that Villanova fits. Really good guards, never turn the ball over, shoot well. The problem is they're injured. Kansas has found something in Remy Martin. And then we'll see kind of if it's Jay Wright can outcoach Bill Self. I think that's something there. And on the other side, Duke, Carolina. I mean, what more needs to be said about that game? This is going to be crazy on Saturday.
I mean, that's got to be the biggest game in the history of the Final Four, I think. And I know it's a prisoner of the moment, and you're going to think it's hyperbole. This is if you were going to write a movie about Coach K's final season, it would involve him beating North Carolina and the biggest stage in college basketball, and he has a chance to do that and right the wrong, the quote unquote wrong, the wrong to you as a Duke fan of getting blown the hell out at your last game at Cameron Indoor. This is, man, like there's no historical, like really. I mean, what's going to happen to K's legacy if he loses? But if he wins, it goes up a bit.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, if he loses, it's like let's talk about it. I mean, if he loses, it's like. Oh man, he's on his way out. Man, losing 2 to Carolina.
Still got 5 of things if he loses. It's like he's got 5.
Yeah, but if he wins in the Final Four against Carolina to go to a championship in his last season, that's like, oh my god, dude, this guy is a mythical creature.
And you know that Hubert Davis is looking at this from the exact opposite perspective of, Roy Williams did some great things here, but if I can beat Duke in the Final Four in my first year as an 8 seed, get to the Natty, potentially, if North Carolina wins this thing, Hubert Davis is, they look a lot smarter than people thought they were a year ago. When he was the replacement, people were like weirdly confused or upset or whatever, and all he's done is coach his ass off.
He was like, people were like, at the start of the season, like Hubert needs to be fired. And I was like, dude, this is guy's first year. He's coached 8 games. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, people fell into the trap too, I think, early in the year where they were like, it's North Carolina. And then the more you watched them, it was like, oh, they don't have that many good players.
Right.
And then now, you can be like, well, Baycott's a monster. Well, Baycott wasn't a monster under Roy. So either that was all him all offseason, or he got coached up to be Mr. Double-Double, Mr. Rebound. Because the dude couldn't grab a rebound out of high school to save his life.
Yeah.
And now he's averaging 10. You got good guard play from Carolina. It's just North Carolina is rolling right now, and they beat Baylor, and they look great. And, they dismantled.
They should have lost UCLA, I will say.
Maybe. But
Caleb Love.
Duke should have lost twice, maybe. But I will say that for everything I just said about North Carolina, they do not have Paulo Banchero.
Yep.
And I know that he hasn't been an all-star the way that people kind of are expecting him to be in the tournament. He's had great moments, but he hasn't been like for a whole 40-minute stretch. He hasn't dominated the game. But the last 4 minutes, get the hell out the way. He's blocking everything. He's grabbing every rebound. He's going to get the ball. And he's either ending up at the line or making the smart play.
Yeah.
This dude he's shown me everything I need to see. I mean, the tournament's not the end all be all, but when guys are this close, him and Jabari Smith and Chet Holmgren, when you're this close, I want the Carmelo Anthony who like is in shape right now. I want that guy. I don't know if I want to draft a 7-1 KD with no inside skill and we're not sure if he can actually handle the ball.
Yeah, it's interesting when you bring up Banchero. I mean, because Duke's gone to the next level in this tournament because he's decided to embrace that role. Like, okay, I am the best player. I can facilitate, which he does. I think that's the next step that he's taken in this tournament too, is he's an elite facilitator. Because you watch some of the passes that he made in Michigan State and Texas Tech, you're like, dude, like nobody else, maybe, I mean, forget the floor, like maybe the tournament can facilitate that way or make those passes. He's just extremely skilled. And then you add in the fact he's hitting jump shots and he's confident going to the rim again. I mean, he looks like that player in the preseason. You're like, this kid might win Naismith All-American, be the best player in the country. Now he's starting to do that. But I think to your point, Tyson, he doesn't have those Carmelo Anthony moments like, God, this guy just dropped 30, took this game over, like nobody could guard him. It's more, I know I'm the best player. I know I can get other people involved. I know I can get mine anytime. So I'm going to control this game. He's a lot more controlling of the game, I think, than like somebody like Melo who's like, I can drop 40 on your head and go and win this by myself.
Well, I think this is going to be, if for Duke to win this game, it's going to have to be his best game as a collegiate player, because I think that North Carolina is, for all intents and purposes, they might be the most confident basketball team I've ever seen going into April. These dudes they couldn't be less intimidated if the sun showed up in front of them. They're going to show up and try to play him. And you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Armando Bacot. I think he's had a great season this season, but the dude is physical, powerful, strong, and he's a tone setter.
Mm-hmm.
He's a tone setter. And North Carolina just gets all over you right off rip. They don't wait around. As soon as the ball's tipped, we're going to try to score 10 points quick as we can, see if you can catch us. And Duke's been, you know, pretty good at starting in this tournament, but they kind of letting teams hang around a bit too long, and I'm just nervous that Carolina is just not afraid of them enough. Like in that final stretch against Michigan State, you saw Michigan State be like, oh, damn it, we don't have the athletes. Right? Or against Arkansas, it was like, damn, we can't, like, we came all this way back, but they just have 2 lottery picks. Like, I don't know what to do. North Carolina doesn't give a damn. Like, you let them hang around for a while, they're like, we beat these guys already. You know, we're well coached, all that stuff. But it's just, this has got to be the biggest moment of the tournament, man.
It's got to be. I mean, and not just this one. I mean, for maybe every tournament ever, you said it. Now, Tyson, we broke it down. We gave our opinions on it. The line on FanDuel right now is Duke -4 and the over-under at 151. Do you have an official pick on this game, whether it's spread, money line, or the over-under?
I like Duke money line under 151.
Okay.
Money line. I think 4
under
points.
151.
I think the 4-point cushion that you're getting is, you know, right about where I would get. I think Duke has the horses to blow this thing open, you know, but I just don't, like I've said all tournament long, North Carolina is not the team to get ran out the gym by anybody, let alone, you know, the biggest rival they have. Duke's been finding ways to win that is so, and you're going to hate this, but it's so uncharacteristic for Duke tournament for the last decade. Since they won the last one, it's just been letdown after letdown in the second half of the second half, right? The
last time they won was 2015, right?
Well, it's 7 years.
Or no, when was that? Yeah, 2015, 7 years. All right.
We're at 7 years. It's been almost a decade, man. You can't be living that far. That's a Duke fan right there. He's got his Lakers hat and his Cowboys stuff on. No, I'm going Duke here. Look, man, I think Coach K's found something with this group. I think this group is responding to whatever ultimatum or challenge that's in front of him. And I think that this is the only Duke team that I've seen since the 2015 team that is equipped to handle the moment. Because, I mean, anytime you can go into a game with the best player, and they have the best player left in the tournament, anytime you can do that, you got a great shot.
Absolutely. That's well said. And yeah, I mean, Jeremy Roach's been special at the guard position. And, you know, go through the list of Duke teams that have won. They've had special guards, Bobby Hurley, obviously, you know, Jay Williams, you know, Quinn Cook, Nolan Smith, and now Tyus Jones, and now Jeremy Roach. You know, he's been doing that in this tournament. Now Tyson mentioned it. I'm a Duke fan. I was contemplating sharing this with our listeners, Tyson, because I didn't know how they take it, but I just want to show the fandom before I give my pick out, just so I can give this. You can take this with a grain of salt if you need, if you're a listener. Since the start of the tournament, I haven't cut my hair. Haven't had a haircut. Can't really tell. I haven't shaved the mustache. Just kind of trimmed up a little bit. I got to go in public. And I have this one Duke shirt, the last championship Duke shirt, official apparel that they won. I haven't washed that shirt. I've worn it every game. I haven't washed it yet. Since the start of the tournament, since they got on this run, I'm all about this. My pick, Duke -4. I'm
That's
laying it. I think they're gonna hammer this team. Now I'm thinking about it. -4. I think that's such an overreaction. I look at this as a gambling standpoint. From what we saw in that last game when Carolina played Duke at Cameron, you're like, oh, it was like up to 12.5. Carolina won by double digits. Oh my God, you're giving me 4. I think the public's going to be all over Carolina, especially with the way they've played. But then I think about it, I'm like, okay, we're on a neutral. Duke blew out Carolina at Carolina when both teams are kind of, Duke was playing a lot better than Carolina at that time. Duke's playing really good around. It's like everybody's like, oh yeah, Carolina's playing great. It's like, yeah, but Duke's in the Final Four too. It's not like they're playing like shit. And I look at just the matchup wise, like you said, Williams is going to have to be great on the glass against Baycott. Banchero's going to have to be special. But if you look at it from the Carolina side, they're going to have to hit shots. And if they don't, they're going to get run out of the gym. And sometimes Love's hitting and Davis isn't. Sometimes Davis is and Love's hitting. There's a good possibility both those guys don't show up. I mean, we haven't thought about that. It's like, well, but both of them show up, Duke be in trouble. It's like, yeah, but if both of them don't show up, which is a possibility as you go into a new arena and Final Four in a place that the coach has never been, or in a situation the coach has never been, in a situation the player's never been, we don't know how these kids are going to respond. Duke has that advantage of Coach K being there and the assistant coaches. They've been there before in playing shoes and situations like that. I give the edge to Duke, an experience factor. I think Duke wins this game by more than 4 points. I'm going to lay that. That's my best bet. Also, I'd lean with you to under 151. I don't think they get anywhere close to that.
That's such a high number. That's just a ridiculously high number. And you said it in the Final Four, like the rim is different, right? Like the lighting is different for shooters. We're going to see air balls from the corner, the elevation change from the court to which is the stupidest thing in the entire world. But we see every year we go into the Final Four like, oh, this one's going to be a banger. And then it's like 62 to 58 or something like that. And I'm more comfortable. I can see that in the realm of possibilities far more often than I can in 80 to 75.
I just can't see that.
No, that doesn't happen in college.
Especially with a rematch like this. And this one, and with everything on the line, you're telling me it's going to be 80 to like 71? We're going to get that number? Like, give me a break.
No shot.
All right, Tyson. Now, this is the first game on Saturday. If people aren't aware, Kansas-Nova, they're the appetizer to the main course. Not as talked about as much because of the Justin Moore injury. I think people have an assumption that Kansas might just roll Villanova here. I pumped the brakes on that a little bit. I think Jay Wright is a better in-game coach than Bill Self.
Than anybody.
Bill Self just makes mistakes, man, and over in the game. And actually, the game against Miami, for once, he actually made an adjustment that was like impressive in a big moment. I mean, they were losing. They turned the screws to Miami and blew them out and embarrassed them. And that was just because the adjustment itself made. I'm like, okay, maybe Bill Self's turned the corner a little bit. This would be so vintage Kansas to lose this one to an undermanned Villanova team because their coach can't adjust, and the other sideline has Jay Wright, who's just a master tweaker.
So you said Villanova was new blood.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to blue blood. Are they more or less blue blood than Indiana?
Oh, they're way more. Well, blue blood's history. Indiana's probably more of a blue blood.
You think? Are they more or less blue blood than UCLA?
Indiana or Nova?
Nova.
Nova is way less of blue blood than UCLA.
Are they more or less of a blue blood than Connecticut?
They're same. They're similar to UConn.
See,
it's tough though because UConn's had some success over the years, but the problem with Indiana UCLA is like they had success like back in the day, like back when college basketball like meant something though.
Right. It's just that's
you know what I mean.
That's the thing is like before. It's the same. Like it's just I I don't subscribe to any of those things. Like, good for the Celtics for having 17 titles, but 12 of them were when there were 8 teams in the league. Good for UCLA for winning 11 championships when you had the best player year over year. Villanova is a fucking blue blood.
Wow.
Villanova shows up and they're in another Final Four. They have as many national titles as anybody over the last. You can go 20 years, you go 10. They got more than everybody else. Jay Wright, they're putting guys in the pros left and right. This is a blue blood, and people are just getting slow to catch on. Because if you're going to talk about Gonzaga, potentially joining the list of the big guys, Villanova has to be at the table.
Oh, Nova's definitely at the table. I wouldn't say Gonzaga's a blue. I didn't know you felt so passionate about this. I love it.
Oh man, I'm all the way in on Nova.
Nobody says Gonzaga's a blue blood.
No, but the conversation's always like, well, if they win one, like where are they at program wise? Where are they?
Well, they're elite program.
But Villanova is levels. There's levels to this, and they're 2-3 levels above Gonzaga. And the Gonzaga goes wire to wire number one, like every other year, and then the tournament happens. But we say it every year: the money's made in March. The bread is buttered in March, and nobody does it better than Villanova. All that said, I think that Kansas beats them, and I think Kansas covers that 4.5 number.
Wow.
Look, man, and I like this is an appropriate over-under at 133 for a college basketball game.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to touch it. I would probably lean over. But Kansas is just really good everywhere. Like, they're not exceptional, really, with the exception of Agbaji.
Agbaji.
Yes. And McCormick has stretches, but he's like actually not a good basketball player. People are just
he's so coordinated.
He's so big and strong.
Yeah, so big.
And I think that Villanova goes as Gillespie goes. I've been saying it all tournament long. And eventually, like, that dude has to come back down to earth. And I think that Kansas is the team equipped to do it because, like, when they're engaged and the back cuts or the motion offense, the sets they run, everything is just like ram pick and rolls. They got the Spanish pick and rolls. That offense is really pretty, but on defense, they get into you. When they get locked in, everybody on that team can block shots and everybody can stay in front for the most part. They have a few weak links, but I don't think it matters much. This game, I got Kansas.
Kansas minus 4.5. Love that. I'm going to stay away from that. I'm taking over 133. I actually really like this for a couple different reasons here. The first is I think we look at this total. It's like, yeah, it's about right. 73, 60 or what, 70, 67 or however you do the math with the point spread. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But Kansas is like the first team that Nova's faced that want to play up tempo. Like They want to move the rock really quickly. They want to sprint down the floor and get easy layups. And Nova's benefited from a lot of teams missing threes. Houston was horrendous shooting the ball from deep. Michigan, the same. Kansas is, I don't think, is going to struggle, but from behind the arc. And I know we just said that new arena, yada, yada. But these are the guys that they set up open shots for each other, and you see it all the time. And I think they're going to be able to knock the majority of them down. I don't think they're going to shoot 70% or anything like that, anything insane. But, 40% from three, 45, 50% from the field. We're looking at 65 points at least. And I think Villanova, with their sets, with their efficiency, with Kansas, who's been prone to give up open shots, and we saw what Creighton did to them, I think this total goes way over, actually.
I will say the one caveat to this and the way that I can see Villanova winning this game is Kansas can get really, really sloppy. Not for like a long time, but for a 3-minute stretch, they'll come down the court and they'll turn it over 5-6 times in a row. And Villanova is a machine. Like, you give them that many extra opportunities. If you give them 6 turnovers in a row, they're going to score at least 8 points, right? Coming the other way. So I can see that. As I just come back at this time of year, give me the All-American, and that's where we're at. Give me Kansas.
Tyson, I can't wait for Saturday, and by that time, we're going to be. By the next time we're on this podcast, we're going to have a national championship, or we're going to have a national champion in college basketball. We have 2 games left in the NCAA tournament.
You watching that shirt if Duke wins the whole thing?
What's that?
You going to wash that shirt if Duke wins the whole thing, or you got to retire? You're going to frame it?
It'll be washed. It might be retired, and then I'm going to get another one.
Okay.
I'm gonna get more garb.
Yeah, there you go. And then in 2029, you can throw that on.
Exactly. Just got to keep it. It's the layers of it. It's the disappointment followed by success, followed by heartbreak with Zion Williamson and them, and then you reach the pinnacle. That's what I'm hoping. At least I'm gonna knock on wood.
He said, and them, like he wasn't the 3rd and 7th pick or whatever.
RJ, Zion and them, the bums. All right. College basketball, man. We're gonna miss it when it's over. Duke Kansas be great matchup for not just everybody, but just for me to line my pockets. I'm 2 holding future tickets there, baby. That'd be sick. That'd be sick, and I'd win the bracket, which would be awesome too.
Right.
All right, NBA betting guide. We're gonna run through this a little bit. It's nothing. It's not gonna be anything too crazy serious here. It's more gonna be something light and fun, more of a kind of a broader macro view that Tyson and I wanted to go over with you guys out here. Just really using odds, using where we're at this point in the season and what we've seen so far to kind of break down the Western Eastern conferences before we get the matchups, before we are officially in the playoffs, and before we can start giving out series prices and game lines and things like that. So that's what this is. So if you're confused about what that was, that's what it is. First, before we get into that, the macro view, we're going to talk a little bit MVP right now. And I know Tyson, I'm not the biggest fan of like during the first month of the season, like, oh, MVP ladder, like where are we at? It's like, yo, we got 70 more games left. Like, can we wait a little bit on the MVP ladder? Now we have a race, and we got a race to the finish. Go ahead and share your overall thoughts, where you're at with the MVP and what you've seen so far this year.
Well, I think we had a race to the finish for MVP, even as 5 days ago, it felt like this thing was wide open, and now it feels like the door is getting pretty close to shut here. Looking like Nikola Jokic is going to take home a 2nd in a row. And look, if you look at any advanced metric, Jokic is having like one of the best offensive seasons ever. Every advanced stat loves him. Apparently, according to advanced stats, he's a better defender than guys like Rudy Gobert and all this stuff. This dude, like the computers love this man. But when the fuck is that when the MVP award? When did it become about that? And that's fine, right? If you're doing all that, but you have to. There has to be another element of this because we can't just box score watch and then say, okay, this guy's the MVP. Jokic is great, and Jokic probably does deserve to be the MVP this season. I think the Nuggets are pretty barren, and you can make the argument for like Embiid or Giannis. People are saying team success without looking at the actual records of the teams. They're very, very close. But it's the bigger thing here to me, and it's bothering me that there's just Russell Westbrook won this award and messed the whole thing up. And Russell Westbrook might have deserved to win the award. He averaged a triple-double, but it doesn't. People vote now. It seems like we decide off the last month of the season, and I know you said that we don't do it off the first month, and that's good, but it's an entire body of work for a season. And it seems like there's no eye test anymore. There's like whenever game you turn on, like if you turn on the Bucks and the Nuggets, Giannis Antetokounmpo is not afraid in the slightest of playing Nikola Jokic. The other day, Embiid is not afraid in the slightest of playing Nikola Jokic. Not that Jokic is afraid of playing those guys either, but the narrative at this point is like, this dude is having one of the best seasons of all time. And if you just look at the advanced numbers, it's not one of the best seasons of all time if there's 2 or 3 other guys doing it at the same fucking time.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid's been just as dominant. I mean, if you look at the numbers, if that's what we want to do,
it's a box score watching award, and I think the whole thing is ruined. And it's going to sound like I'm pounding the table because, Devin Booker and Chris Paul need to win MVP. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think that at all. But I think there has to be more than like when the Heisman, we know best player, best team gets the award, right? The NFL MVP, we know it's going to be best quarterback season. The NBA MVP feels like, okay, who do the writers want to win the most? And that's backwards and that's broken.
As a broader view of the MVP, I think you're right there. I mean, it is, especially when you get subjective like this and you have NBA writers who then they get burnt out by, okay, so we wrote this guy in so many times, like we need to vote somebody else because we're tired of this guy winning. It's like, dude, you guys are the ones who created this narrative in the first place. Like the whole Westbrook thing, like, wow, we've never seen anything like this. And it's like, yeah, Oscar did it. And it's like, yeah, but we've definitely seen it 2 times in a row. You're like, yeah, but you got to count for the fact of stat inflation and shot percentages and just everything in general. You guys are the stat nerds. How can you not calculate that in? So then they get to that where it's all about stats, about stuffing the stat box. So then gets to the point where, well, Westbrook did this and he won MVP. So how can we not give it to this guy who's doing this? It's like, because that's all what we're talking about. You guys are the ones who made it that way. Most valuable player should be who is the most valuable player for the organization for that team.
On a good team.
On a good team, right? Because everybody can be like, well, LeBron's valuable for the Lakers. Like, yeah, but the Lakers suck. And even if he scores 30, like they've been horrible this year. I think if you want to look at MVP, what it actually means, it's hard pressed for me not to look at Luka. It's hard pressed for me not to look at Embiid. And it's hard pressed for me, honestly, not to look at Jokic as well. And I get the stats thing, but that team is barren, as you said. But for everybody to be like, well, this is one of the best seasons, like we should just give it to him. Why is it even a question? I think that's where you're getting frustrated. That's your frustration stems from. It's like, it's not just about stats and advanced metrics. You got to count in all these other sorts of things, and winning and success and being one of the top seeds in your conference, that should matter for something and have a big impact on how these riders and how these awards are handed out.
And it always comes back to the same thing, especially with the NBA. It feels like it's the one sport where it's like, do these guys watch?
Yeah.
Like, are you watching? Because like you can't sit with a straight face. Like I'm not the biggest Nuggets guy in the world. I've maybe seen them play 12 times this season. I've probably seen the Sixers play 15 times this season. If you, with a straight face, want to tell me that, and tell Harden shut up at least, that Embiid doesn't impact winning in the same way that Jokic does, you're out of your mind. You've gone nuts. I mean, like that's maybe one of my bigger things here too. Is it's just like I don't know how either one of these guys can be the MVP when there's a real discussion about they're not the best at their position. And I think that's what's hurting my brain.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But I will say, I mean, the Sixers just lost to the Pistons, so I don't know what the hell's going on. It's over now, MVP. If you look at the odds, too, as we get to that, I mean, from a betting standpoint, Jokic is minus 200 now. He was like plus 110. Embiid's plus 145. He'll probably finish second. I think it's probably going to get to the point soon. I mean, if you want to bet it, as soon as you listen to this podcast, I mean, go bet Jokic. I mean, lay whatever it is. He's going to get up to minus 500. He'll probably be off the board. What's today? Probably by Monday. I mean, in all honesty, at Sportsbook. So, especially now if you like him.
Roll a couple wins up over the weekend. One thing I do want to get into, and sorry to cut you off here.
But no, go ahead.
I've been very curious about here. So we have obviously first team All NBA. All NBA teams are coming out, and you can bend the rules as a voter if you want to vote Jokic in as a forward and Embiid in as the center. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's completely backwards. I know that the NBA's positionless, quote unquote, these days, these guys play center only. Yeah. Like these are the two guys in the league. You can't convince me they play anything else. So we got those two almost locked in that that's going to be the case. Then you have 3 other spots, right? And you have Luka, John Morant, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, right? And Giannis.
Mm-hmm. So
you have 7 guys there. Luka to me isn't a guard or isn't a forward. I think he's a point guard. In all honesty, I just that's what he plays, right? I think that Josh should make the list or Curry should make the list, but those guys
not first team. God, yeah, I know it's going to be like, well, John Morant's, dude, they're 18-2 without him.
Yeah,
like, and he's spectacular, but he's not better than Jason Tatum. Hasn't had a better season than Jason Tatum. I don't think he's had a better season than Luka, and he certainly hasn't had a better season than Devin Booker. You can't tell me there's not a son on first team All NBA. I'm sorry.
And we've done this now like 3 times in the last 2 minutes. Giannis is he's on the team, right? Yeah. So now we have 2 spots for Tatum, Booker, Morant, Curry, and Luka.
Okay, so I'll go. I'll go Luka and Booker.
That's what I think too. I think Book's got to be on.
But I honestly think they're going to put Joel Embiid second team.
You don't think they're going to try to bend the rules? I mean, I agree that it shouldn't be that. I think it should be center, forward, guard, just because that's always been the history of first team All NBA. If it was like Anthony Davis and Giannis, then you could be like, all right, put him in center. That's fine, whatever. But to me, it's just not the way this goes. But it just feels criminal, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Like the second best player in the NBA can't even be first team All NBA this season.
Here's how I think it's going to look: first team All NBA. The guards. There's going to be 3 guards. Or I'm sorry, there's going to be 2 guards. Morant, Booker. The 2 forwards are going to be Giannis and Luka, and then it's going to be Jokic at center. And then on the second team, they're going to put Tatum, Embiid, and then fill in the blanks, whoever else you want to throw in there.
Curry. Paul will be on third team. You could find a way to maybe sneak him up to second if you're short on guards.
That's how they're going to do it. And because everybody's gonna be so terrified not to put Morant in there because he's had a great year and it's been like, wow, look at John Morant coming out. It's like, guys, we get it. He's gonna play a long time in this league. You got to give it to deserving people, man. I mean, Morant, they're 18-2 without him.
He missed 20 games. He missed like 20 games. That's just like
crazy.
That's 20 games is fine if he's on the second team. You can't tell me he's a first teamer. He's missed all these games.
All right, let's move to the Defensive Player of the Year discussion, Tyson. I'm going to be candid here. I am holding a Bam Adebayo ticket for Defensive Player of the Year. I split it with one of my buddies. We got pretty good. I want to say we got it at 3.5 to 1 plus 330. I think I forget how much we put down on it, but we split the ticket. Good penny if he wins it. So we're rooting for it, right? It looked like Gobert was the favorite when we got Bam in there. Bam became the favorite. Gobert started going back. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, 100 to 1 Marcus Smart, because all the Boston media started bitching and moaning on their podcast. I'm talking about you, Bill Simmons. All of a sudden, Marcus Smart moves to the plus 160 favorite because guards never win, and we're dishing that. It's like, yo, you've missed the games too, and I understand Bam has too. Bam can guard 5 positions. Marcus Smart can guard 3. Like, the flexibility that Bam Adebayo gives the Heat on defense is much more than what Marcus Smart provides on defense. And Marcus Smart's not even the best defensive player on the team. It's Robert Williams.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with Boston.
Or most impactful, I'd say maybe. Marcus Smart might be individually better, but Robert Williams is the most impactful defensive player on that team.
And I'll be very candid off the top too. I hold a Mikal Bridges future all Defensive Player of the Year ticket I placed before the season.
Right now, plus 300.
And look, I might be homering here away, but there has to be something to be said about the guy that shows up every single night. And this is the thing that bothers me the most here, is Jokic is going to win MVP off the strength of all these advanced numbers. But then we get to Defensive Player of the Year, and the guy who's dominating all the advanced numbers, played every game on the best team in the league, he's not getting the same love?
After they gave it to Gobert for 4 years in a row because of advanced numbers.
Exactly. Like, so now the overcorrection, it's just the NBA media just never ceases to amaze me.
Crazy.
It's the most bipolar voting system in the world. But look, I think any 3 of those guys, I think Marcus Smart's not going to win it. I think this is like the market close on this guy because of the media talking about him. But I don't think the voters are going to actually vote Marcus Smart to win this award. I think it's going to be Bam. I think it should be Bridges. And honestly, I would right now, Robert Williams just tore his meniscus. I would have put him ahead of Marcus Smart as well there. He was closing so hard, man.
Oh, he was close. Well, now he's plus 3,500, so his market's toast. So it goes Smart, the favorite, plus 160. Bam, plus 250. Bridges third at plus 300. Gobert now at plus 450. Then Giannis back at plus 1,300. I don't think Giannis or Gobert have a shot. I think it's a 3-man race now. And this is honestly the best award right now to like get in the market on. I agree with you. I think Bam's going to win. I think Bridges should win. Here's my thing too. if the Heat finish first in the East, which they have a really good shot to do it, if they finish first in the East, I think they're going to give this award to Bam because, the Suns finished first in the West. Well, the Suns already have an award. They're going to give it to Monty Williams, Coach of the Year. Well, the Heat needs something, right? Oh, let's give Bam Defensive Player of the Year. I think they'll do the same if it's the Celtics. Oh, well, you can't give a Coach of the Year to Udoka. Jason Tatum can't win MVP. Oh, here's Defensive Player of the Year. Here you go, Marcus Smart. Here you go, Celtics. Here's something for you. Just some nonsense like that because you know how they work.
And then one important aspect, I think, and it sounds stupid, but it's super underrated. Which one of these teams and media markets is going to have the best propaganda unit?
I was going to say the same thing. There's a lot more sports writers in Boston than Phoenix and Miami.
There's about a million times more impactful ones too. We're going to get Bob Ryan takes, from the old school Boston
John
beat writers.
The check and
Boston's got that. They have the media machine. And I just again, with the narrative thing, the overcorrection on Marcus Smart is just too much. Everybody hated him in the media 3 years ago, and now we all love him. He's the exact same player.
Exact same player. All right, Tyson, we've been teasing. Let's get to the Eastern Conference. We got a lot of discussion here. Again, this is going to be pretty light of what we're discussing. Just more of a broad macro view as we kind of get ready for the playoffs already. We're going to take you through what we're looking at in the Eastern Conference right now, as the Milwaukee Bucks are the favorite at plus 280 to win the East, followed by the Brooklyn Nets at plus 300. Then the 76ers plus 440, followed by the Boston Celtics plus 460, and the Heat plus 500. Those are really your top 5 favorites. Bulls, they're 6 plus 2,700. Raptors plus 4,200. You can really scrap those teams, I think. I think when we really look at these, it's going to be 5 teams or really bundled together. The question is if you believe in the Nets. I think that's the main thing we look at here. Nets are probably going to have to play in the play-in. I think that's almost certain. Nets are going to either match up against the Heat, favorable, or the Bucks. That's going to be a slugfest early. If that happens, you're looking at the 2 favorites right now. One of them's gone. One of them's going to become really short. For you, Tyson, when you kind of factor that in looking forward, would it be wise for the better to start holding a ticket on Eastern Conference winner on Bucks or Nets right now and hold as much juice as you can?
Well, I think it's always smart if you have a gut feeling to go as early as you can, because if you're right, the odds are only going to get worse for you. My thing is, Brooklyn, first of all, they've got to be thanking God right now that they're looking like they're going to avoid Toronto, because that vaccine mandate deal with Kyrie Irving is still finding a way to rear its ugly head. As soon as we thought it was over, there was a shot. But no, I wouldn't hold both the tickets because I don't think the Nets can play with the Bucks. Kevin Durant, top end talent, Kyrie Irving, top end talent, right? Those 2 guys are unreal. The Bucks go 8 deep, not quite as deep as they were last year. They're 7-8 deep. They play harder. I think they're better, right? All the way through the lineup there. Plus, it's the same thing that I did with LeBron James for a long time is now the Giannis deal, where he's going to be, I think, the most impactful basketball player on any court that he steps on for the next couple of years at least. And he's not going out in the first round. There's no shot. There's just no chance. Everything about this dude is ultimate competitor. And everything about those dudes over in Brooklyn is they want us to believe so bad that they're the ultimate competitor. And I think that the cream rises to the top and Giannis would get the Nets out of there. I don't think it would go 7. I just think Milwaukee's better than them.
Bucks Nets are clearly priced right now as the 2 favorites in the market. Now, if you look at the secondary market here, the Sixers, Celtics, Heat, all separated by 60 cents at the most here on the juice line. Any team there that you can think can make a deeper run out of those 3, whether it's the Celtics, who have been so hot after the All-Star break, Sixers, who added Harden, I don't know what's going on there recently, and the Heat, who were in a brawl with each other. What would be your bet there, Tyson?
I would probably say Miami. I've been on the Heat for a long time. I don't buy too much into the yelling at each other and stuff. Udonis Haslam telling somebody he's going to beat the ass is like the
That's a
most
Tuesday.
for the course thing ever. Yeah, big deal. But little victory lap here. I've been hammering how the Celtics were going to be much better than they were playing there for most of the regular season.
You also wanted to trade Brown and Tatum too.
Jaylen Brown, I still want to get that done if I'm Boston. But they have turned things around in a big way, and like they're probably the best team in the East over the last 40 games. If you look record wise, I don't have it in front of me, but they're like 30-11 maybe. They're killing people. But I think out of those teams, probably Miami.
For me, it'd be the Celtics. They're just playing hot. It seems like they got chemistry. Sixers, like I love them. That's my team, and I thought they were going to be a lot better than they have shown to be. But you can't give me Harden and Doc Rivers in the first year together in a big spot and be like, yeah, those guys. Yeah, I'm gonna back those guys. I'm hesitant not to say the Heat, but kind of the same thing, honestly, with Jimmy Butler. Like, yeah, I know he got into the finals when they're in the bubble, but since then it's been the same old Jimmy Butler story: friction and underperforming when it matters most. The Celtics, I think, still have the highest ceiling because they have two dudes who can drop 40 on your head anytime they step the floor. And as much as I love Bam and as much as I respect and like Jimmy Butler, there are infinite ceilings on how much they can score and how much they can truly impact the game. Tatum and Brown, I mean, they can legitimately each score 40 points in a game together. That's 80 points right there.
Efficiently. That's the biggest thing with Boston, right? Is the efficiency.
Yeah, exactly.
Just two guys dropping 40 on 60% shooting. You can't do anything about that. Doesn't matter who you are. It could be the 96 Bulls.
Now, so if you were to hold one ticket right now, Eastern Conference Final future, Tyson, what would it be? Would it be the Bucks that you love so much?
Yeah, it'd be the Bucks. There's just something about that dude, man. It's just, I don't know. He's like, if you cut his career off right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I don't even know if he's hit his peak. Giannis is shooting from the mid-range this season better than like all your favorite mid-range superstars, not named Chris Paul, Devin Booker, those kind of like high end, mid-range guys. Giannis is shooting like 40-something, 44%, 45% from the mid-range. If he has that shot, there is nothing you can do with him. And everyone says, oh, he's got to get the three. He's got to get the three. If he starts going downhill, stops, and shoots it, that's the same shot. It's the same amount of gravity that now you have to pay attention. Now Chris Middleton's open. Drew Holiday's open. I think the loss of Brook Lopez is huge. And I actually think they miss Dante a little bit more than people are giving him credit for too. But it's just, look, man, the monkey was off the back last year of the entire organization. And I don't believe in anybody else in the East is really what it boils down to.
If I'm going to hold one ticket, it's going to be the Nets. And I may be a sucker. They're going to have a tough road. You're giving me 3-1 odds on a team with Kevin Durant, who's healthy, and a team with Kyrie Irving, if he can play anywhere he wants to, besides Toronto, which I think they stink, the Raptors. I mean, in terms of the broad picture we're talking about here, I like that. Ben Simmons, if he does come back and can provide some sort of size and rebounding, that's a plus. The concern, obviously, with the Nets is rebounding and defense. Like, that's the thing with them. But the ceiling for these guys, man, with a Durant and an Irving who can play, like, it's so high. If I'm going to hold one ticket, I'm going to hold a Nets ticket. I'm concerned. I think I'm a little concerned that this price is going to flatten out a little bit, although I don't think they're going to eclipse the Bucks, so I think I'll still get pretty good odds. But I'm going to wait to hold the ticket, but I will be holding one on the Nets to win the East.
I love it. That's a little mini disagreement there. It doesn't really count, but we'll take what we could get.
Exactly. Let's get over to your Western Conference, Tyson, because I mean, what is there to say about the Suns? I mean, they've been the best team since the start of the season. They've kicked everybody's ass. They look great. Booker goes out. Chris Paul goes out. Cam Johnson's missing games. Mikal Bridges has never missed a game. But this team, no matter who's gone, who's in, they steamroll teams. They are the favorite at plus 115. The fact you can get it for plus money in the West is a joke. Their favorites at plus 115, followed by the Warriors at plus 340. Then I'm shocked by this odds, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, at plus 650 for the Grizzlies, who have we detailed so many times are 18-2 without John Morant, second best record in the NBA. After that, it gets a little longer. Jazz plus 900. That's a little too short for me for the Jazz. Mavs at plus 1200 and Nuggets at plus 1500. Interesting analysis kind of looking past the Suns there, Tyson. I mean, I don't think anybody would say the Suns shouldn't be this short of a number at plus 115. I'm shocked they're not even. I'm shocked they're not minus. I mean, I'm holding a Suns Western Conference ticket because you're like, well, if they get hurt, like, well, dude, they've shown you. Doesn't matter who gets hurt. They just steamroll. Like, they're the best in the conference. And then you're going to give me multiple opportunities to make up for a mistake in one game. Like, oh, you're telling me it's not one and done. This isn't the NCAA tournament. Oh, yeah, we had a bad shooting game. Book was off, and Ayton didn't try this game. Oh, we have 5 more to rectify that. Like, give me the Suns all day in the West.
And one thing I think that people need to start paying attention to here with Phoenix, and it's a little concerning as a Suns fan, but I think they're like the 9th biggest gap between them and second place in the history of the NBA if the season ended today. And every team besides one of those won the NBA championship. And the one that lost, I'm pretty sure, was Wilt playing against 11 Hall of Famers or whatever it was from Boston. Like, this team is not just 62-14. They are almost 10 games better than everybody else. When the Warriors won 73 games, the Spurs won 67, right? Like, it wasn't like they lapped the entire league. They lost the finals. Like, it wasn't like – so all these great teams, historically speaking, the Suns team isn't going to have the number in the W column to make them maybe one of the first 5 teams you think of when you think of dominant regular season teams. But the numbers are there, and they're 46-0 when leading after the third quarter. This team in the top 6 players in clutch net rating are all Phoenix Suns, with the exception of Spencer Dinwiddie, because he got to play with he's got like some funky Mavs Wizards. He was on the Wizards when they were good, and then he went to the Mavs when they got good. So his net rating there is good. But it's like these guys in the clutch, their net rating as a team is plus 32, and the second best net rating in the NBA is plus 15 in Milwaukee. Like this team just like there's nothing you can do with them in the fourth quarter. And I love the Grizzlies this season, and they actually remind me a lot of the Suns as far as the way they're good and the way they play. I would take, if the game was even going into the fourth quarter 4 times in a row, Phoenix will sweep them.
I love this. I can't believe they're plus money again. It's honestly, you're getting $1.15 back from betting $1 on them to win, like crazy. Let's move here, Tyson, because I think we're both in agreement. We're both taking the Suns. Obviously, you're a Suns fan, but as a bettor, give me a break with that value. Long shot perspective, I'm looking at it. I'm including the Warriors in this, even at plus 340. Anybody but the Suns, I guess that's the Western Conference segment. Right. Who besides the Suns? I'm going to take the Mavs plus 1,200. Because we're such fans of the Suns at this price and to win the West, I might as well go down the board who I think can actually do it. I think the Grizz are too young. So I might as well take plus 1,200 odds on a team with a player, Luka Doncic, who could be the best player on the floor at any given time. I'm going to take that. What about the Nuggets plus 1,500? I don't think they have enough in the tank. Mavs, maybe. I don't know if Murray's going to come back. Do you?
They got swept last year.
They got swept by the Mavs, but they were a little banged up. But I'm gonna roll the dice on the Mavs at this number if I was going to hold the ticket on a long shot. Just because I love Doncic. I think the pieces around him are playing with much more confidence. They spread the floor out a ton under Jason Kidd. They've actually played defense. So that's why I'm going to roll with the Mavs on my long shot pick.
You know what's weird? And this is like where I'm at because the West, I think, is as close to, I know where I'm going. I'm going Phoenix. But, I agree with you. I don't think the Grizzlies are quite ready yet. I love the Mavs at plus 1,200, but Luka's never beat Phoenix with Ayton on the court. And it's more than a small sample size at this point, right? the Suns own the Nuggets. I think they beat them like 8 times in a row or something like that. They own the Jazz too. The only team that gives Phoenix problems is the Warriors. I just like I don't think it's worth it at the plus 340. So I'm gonna rock with you on the Mavericks. You go ahead. I've
Let's
been
go.
trying to get you over there waiting for me so you could type it into the bottom there, but um, I just like Luka, like you said, man. I mean, this is the third best team in the West. Luka's amazing. It's just the Warriors are the only team that gives Phoenix any problems in the West, really. And Phoenix played their worst game of the season yesterday, pretty much. Worst game since the first week of the season, and they won. I'm finding it harder and harder to find ways to talk myself out of it's anything other than a disappointment if the Suns don't win the title.
$10 to win you 120. Not a bad deal on the Mavs. I think it's a waste of $10. Might as well just put that into whatever you want to throw in the Suns. Mortgage plus $10. That's what we think here. We love the Suns. All right, real quick, Tyson. We'll go through the NBA Finals. Kind of similar thing here. I mean, if you look at it, Phoenix is plus 300. Second, actually, on FanDuel is the Nets at plus 550, which is very interesting. Bucks are plus 600, Warriors plus 700, Celtics and Sixers plus 900, the Heat plus 1100, then those Grizzlies plus 1500 here. It's tough for me. As much as I love the Suns, at plus 300 with a potential rematch against the Bucks, who has 2 times the better odds than them, it's tough for me to lay plus 300 right now with the Suns. But I think when you see the Suns start steamrolling through the West, that price is going to flatten out so quickly. I think it's worth it to grab a number like this now, especially before the playoffs start. I don't think it's going to get any lower than 3-1. I'd grab that. What's your philosophy, Tyson, when you hold futures tickets in the NBA?
Well, I hold numerous Phoenix Suns tickets a lot better than plus 300, but I am more than confident in holding that one because, like I said, man, it's at the end of the day, right? If you're going to spend your money, then you have to have some conviction about this. You can't be coming on here and being like, well, Brad and Tyson said the Mavs at plus 1200 wasn't a bad bet, but you hate them and you don't believe in them, then don't do it. So if you really think, oh, I think the Bucks can go back to back, then that's the one you hold.
Yeah.
But you don't go into this being like, well, if you have to talk yourself into a futures ticket, unless it's like a World Series one right now, you're out of your mind because you're right, Brad. This is going into the Western Conference Finals. Phoenix is going to be on the they're going to be minus. They're going to be minus to win the NBA Finals because they've played like 11 nationally televised games this year, I think, and they've been good in most of them. I don't think people understand yet the gap that is present between these guys and everybody else. And I think it's going to be very evident when they're playing, unless they're playing the Pelicans in the first round. That's the only one I could see. Maybe they go down 0-2 or something and then we get better odds. But this is going to shrink like drastically. So give me it now so I'm not regretting it at the end of June when I got them at minus 500 when they're up 3-0.
Yep. I mean, that's my philosophy with that too. I'll hold that ticket. And I am holding I will be holding a Nets Eastern Conference Finals ticket or Eastern Conference champion ticket. So I might as well hold the Bucks championship ticket kind of as a mini hedge, but I'm getting better odds at it to win the championship. I'm already getting my money back on the Suns to win the West. And if I hold the Suns ticket, I'm basically scratching even here. So I'll probably hold a Bucks ticket if I'm looking at it now. I'm not sure if you're going to hold anybody besides the Suns because you have a ton of liability. Maybe you hedge if you get to that point, Tyson, or when you get to that point with the Suns. But have you dabbled in something where you can pick Suns versus Bucks for this price, Suns versus Nets for this price?
See, we don't have that where I live.
Okay.
I don't have that option, so I have to. It's like window shopping if I go on FanDuel.
Right.
It's like, look at all this cool stuff.
Yeah,
I would pick Suns Bucks though. That's
Suns Bucks.
Yep.
And for those out there who can, that's what Tyson thinks. I would probably say the same. To be honest, I mean it's probably going to get better odds. I mean on FanDuel, the Nets have better odds to win the championship than the Bucks. I'm sure. I'm surprised. Like I'm curious about that. But I'd say you could probably get the best odds with that. If not, maybe roll that into a Suns Nets. But realistically, those seem like the only three in my mind, the only two combos there, Suns Bucks or Suns Nets, that I can think about talking about when you talk about the finals. I don't think I can see the Heat there. I don't think I can see the Celtics there.
Yeah, I can't stomach that. At least I can't put money down on that. Like, if you're gonna get that precise with it, then I can't. It's too much, man. That's too many 50 bombs from Tatum to make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, Tyson, big show from us today. We got the NFL in because they love it, those prima donnas. We talked a lot of ball. I mean, Final Four, I'm excited. And, of course, we got the little NBA discussion in as we get closer to the playoffs and our favorite time of the sports calendar. Anything else that you want to share with the audience?
Well, we'll be back on before. I was going to say April 9th is a great UFC card, but besides that, just follow us on Instagram. Keep, just engage with us, comment, like, subscribe, hit the like button on YouTube, whatever you want to do to help us out would be awesome, and we really appreciate it.
Baseball's around the corner. Tyson and I on Instagram @_the_roundtable_pod_. We'll be putting out our futures, win totals, World Series bets, division winner bets on Instagram. So make sure to follow that account so you can see that. Don't miss out being on the sideline. Go check that out. And we'll be doing a lot more gambling stuff there. I know we did a lot with football. And we did a lot like on weekend stuff. We're going to put more content on there as well. So make sure to stay plugged in. And we're going to have a Twitter getting fired up as well. So, yeah, I mean, interact with us like Tyson said. We love it. If you have questions, we'll answer it on the podcast like we always say. We want you guys to be engaged. And so feel free to hit us up on Twitter, me @BWakai, and Tyson on IG @Tyson Gentry. Other than that, until next time, guys, peace.